starting on the royal icing. We have the small piping bags. We use a lot of white, green, and then a lot of different kinds of blue. So at the end, have the tip. It's a lot easier to go from the sides here and cut at a slight angle. In class, I'll be the only one that cuts it, just because we've had problems where they are cut too thick and then we can't use the bag at all. Okay, so we always want to assume that there are lots of air bubbles in there, and we can test out on part of the paper. Make sure it comes out nice and smooth there. Make sure I can zoom in. And when you give it a try, you're also saying how thin it is. Does it smooth out? Does it go out too far where it might roll over the edge of the cookie? And it looks fairly good. When the piping bags are used for too long, it'll also warm up just because of your hands. So with the light bulb specifically, they do sort of like a zigzag. Okay, now I'm a little close there on the end, so we're going to see exactly how good that is. And you can see that it's sort of smooth except for right here, and I'm going to use this toothpick. And I literally am just pushing it, just enough to cover it, and it will smooth out itself. Okay, I'm looking for those lines on either side of those. Okay, do it one more time. Okay, it's going to smooth itself out again. It's a little on the end over here. What I can do is I can kind of try and drag some of that over. You can push, not pull on the icing. It will not work to pull it. You have to push it. Now the longer I play with it, the more likely it's going to start to harden, and then you'll start to see the lines from the toothpick. So you want to be careful that does not happen. Okay, moving on to the snowman. He has his hat up here, so we're going to make a line where his hat should start, and we're just doing the white part of the snowman. Now you can see I was starting to get kind of like wiggly lines, and that's because I was pushing harder and not moving as fast as I should. Okay, so I'm going to push this out a little bit. It will smooth itself out, but this is the point where we have to quickly start to fill in, or you're going to see a line between the edge and the inside. The inside lines do not matter, so it's okay if they get a little wobbly, because they will smooth out. And you want to get most of the holes on the inside so it can do its own work. And the next person will come around with the toothpick, and again, you're just putting in those holes. Or if there's like a really squiggly outside line here, it's not smooth, I can try and push to make that line smoother. Okay, I'm not using it like I'm icing. I'm just pushing those holes closed. Okay, and the only side I see here that's not so great is this corner right here. Let's see if I can fix it. Almost too late, because you can start to see that that line is starting to dry already. These will be good practice ones. Okay. Now, the bears are also white, and then they'll have a black eye and a scarf in green or red. And I think what I might do is cut the tip a little bit thicker. Now I want a little bit of a ear there. So I made a little bit of a line for his ear. When we get into detail work for things like the snowflake, a very thinly cut white piping bag will be perfect. But for simply making our first bottom layers, oh, now you see up there it's got a little bit of a, I'm going to push some icing, smooth out that whole area. There we go. Push this to make it a little bit smoother. I don't want him to look like he's got a humpback. And I'm, again, just using the tip of the toothpick. That's the whole point. If we wanted to smooth it out on the side, we'd use a butter knife. All right. All right. I'm going to try the tree next. And I'm going to cut, and let's do it a little thicker. Okay. Test it out. Looks good from my side. And I always start at the bottom, and I start from the inside because it's easier to get a smooth line. It's going to be filled in anyway. I go back through and I push if I need it to go out any further. If it already starts way out on the outside, then there's nothing you can do about it. It's just going to be there. I cannot pull it in. Alright, I'm going to use a different one because this was white. This has to be done as soon as possible because, again, we don't want it to start hardening and then we see those lines. We want it to make sure it's nice and smooth. This is a pretty big chunk here in this middle. So what will often happen is one person will do the icing and someone else will follow behind and toothpick those areas closed so they can continue icing other cookies. Alright, so later we'll put the green glitter on and then the yellow swag with the extra stuff. So all these will have to dry overnight before we do anything else. These will be covered in painted silver, edible silver, and then we can add on the other parts of those light bulbs.